subject is I, then the reflexive pronoun we use is myself. If the reflexive pronoun is he, then we use himself. If the subject is her, we use herself. If it's they, then we use themselves. Okay, very good. Number 11.
I blame myself for all that trouble.
Correct. Chop.
She likes to look at herself in the mirror.
Correct. 13.
My father checks himself every morning.
Correct. 14. Ben?
Helen cuts herself on a piece of glass.
Very good. Number 15. Pew.
The child is not old enough to rest. The child not himself.
Well, this is a little tricky. This is a little tricky because the subject is child. The subject is child, which is singular. Okay? Now, what we don't know is whether the child is a boy or a girl. So if the child was a boy, we'd say the child is not old enough to dress himself. If we knew the child was a girl, we'd say the child is not old enough to dress. If the child is a girl, we would say the child is not old enough to dress herself. So in this case, since we don't know if the child is a girl or a boy, you could have said either herself or himself and still been correct. So number 16?
The dog itself when it's jumped over the fence.
Correct. Very good, because the dog is, we use himself and herself only with people, okay? But with dogs and elephants and, you know, anything other than people, we would use itself. Pramaha suraphet, number 7.
Karen and I enjoy ourselves very much.
Correct.
The party last night.
Absolutely correct. I'll do the last one. You shouldn't really blame yourself for that mistake. We got them all correct. Perfect. No mistakes. Monday, I'm going to have to think of something really, really difficult because you are so good. I'm sitting question.
How do you pronounce mirror? Because you
Mirror.
How do you pronounce?
Let's see. Where I've lost my place. 77. And what number again? Oh, mirror. Okay. Mirror. Now you know what a mirror is. You know, you looking glass. But it's a double R, so mirror. 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 That's good. Mirror. And what I suggest is I'll find a couple of YouTube videos for you myself, but we want to practice. We want to practice, and it's the only way to learn is just practice and practice and practice and practice. We want to practice words with L's, especially double L's. Okay, R's, especially double R's, and we need to practice V sounds. Okay, to get our pronunciations to where they sound like English speakers. And the double R sound is especially difficult, and the double L sound is especially difficult. Like the name, there's an English name. Sally. Sally. That's a girl's name. And you know, and an English speaker would just say Sally. 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 Good. Sally. So, but the double L, it's Sally. Sally. But when you say it quickly, Sally. Sally. We're saying, you know, both of those L's together. Sorry? Okay. Yeah, and you know what sorry means. Huh? Is that not what you said? What? Oh, the Indian dress, sorry. Oh. It sounds the same, doesn't it? Sorry? So, sorry as in like, sorry? Okay, sorry. Sorry. So, sorry. Sorry. Actually, it's an Indian word. It's an Indian word. And I really don't know what that sounds like if an Indian were saying it. But when we pronounce it in English, we pronounce it as though there were two R's. We say sorry, sorry. We pronounce it with two R's. Sorry, sorry, sorry. Which is why I thought you said sorry. So, I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah. Well, we have about 15 minutes. Let's return to Slumdog, okay? Now, let me summarize real quickly what's happening here. And Ram, we started a new chapter, and Ram is in a shelter that everybody went to because they were being bombed. A war was going on. And then a soldier who only had one leg begins telling a story about what happened to him in the war. This would refer back to the war between India and Pakistan. About 40 years ago, 40 years or so ago. And we have to ask ourselves, I guess, why would this story suddenly include an episode of where the soldier's telling his story? But what will happen here? What will happen is that we'll get a flashback to the quiz show after this chapter's over, and the quiz show will ask him a question. And the question will have something to do with the story that he was told by the soldier. So remember, Ram said when he was asked by the lawyer, Smita, how did you know the answers to all his questions? He said, I was lucky. He just happened to ask questions that I knew the answers to. And this is going to tell us how he knew the answer to one of the questions. That's what it's all about. So we left off at the top of page 35, where it said the next day, okay? So who would like to be the first to begin today? Somebody want to volunteer? I'll read a couple of lines, and then we'll go ahead and just start with you, Nat, okay? The next day, we were in the bunker again. Remember what a bunker is? On the television, some of the men were discussing the war. Mr. Kulkarni turned it off. Let's listen instead to our war hero, he said. He turned to Balwant Singh. Tell us about the Mandiyala Bridge. Okay, and if you can start now where it says Balwant looked pleased.
Balwant looked pleased. We looked at the Pakistan plan war to capture Mandiyala Bridge. He explained if that happened, we would have to leave Sham and the places based on Tawi. At 3 o'clock on the morning of the 5th of December, they attacked. They were Pakistani tanks shooting at us on the ground and Pakistani planes dropping bombs on us from above. Our commander was killed and many of our children were shot. The next morning, the enemy's flag was flying above Mandiyala Bridge. Then the commander of 368
Brigade.
arrived from Maryknoll. He looked around and saw dead bodies everywhere. Those soldiers that were still alive were running away. Combat Singh, he said to me, what is happening? Where are all our men going? They are running away. I told